I'm here with Emily Thompson. And Emily, you brought a really beautiful mixed media project, which has an offset line, is that correct?
That's correct, yes. So we can create 2 layers of text using fabric to really just kind of make a fun design, and I love using fabric, so this is a fun way to kind of incorporate fabric with some crafting.
And no sewing.
And no sewing, that's right.
So let's get started.
Okay, so I've already created just a text that says summer, and I'm just using text that is already in the software. And so what we want to do is go over here to the edit feature, and then we can see right down here where it says offset. So it's very simple. You just click it, and then you can decide the spacing, and it kind of gives you an idea of how thick your offset will be, what kind of corner type you want. I'm just going to leave the basic settings because I like them. Click the OK. And you can see
it gives you
now
that really
it's created
cool outline.
2 lines. And then you want to go to layers, and I like to hide the first one, so then I can just make sure I'm cutting just one of the layers at the time. So I've set up over here on the cutting machine, this already is set up to cut this text. And I've cut the thin part of the summer text right here on this mat. So let's go ahead and start cutting this one.
Cool. This is a lot easier than taking a craft knife and making it around or using scissors.
Well, you cannot, I like using fun fonts, and you really can't do that if you're hand cutting.
Now, have you treated your fabric in any way? Does it have fusible? Are you using a stiffener or anything like that?
Great question. So I'm just using the standard mat, but on top of the standard mat, I've put a high tack sheet, and then I've just stuck my fabric right on that high tack sheet. Because I'm using glue to adhere it right to the wood, we really don't want any other junk on the back of the fabric. Okay. So I just have the plain quilting fabric. Anything thin works great because we really want the glue to soak into it.
Can I tell you my super lazy crafter thing? Which is I don't even iron my fabric because I find the high tack mat, I can just sort of smooth it out and it just stays, which is awesome.
Yeah, so this is great. So now we can see our design.
This is always the most exciting part. It's like unwrapping the gift.
That's right.
When you get to pull away the fabric and see what you've got.
Yes.
Cool.
So it is always fun to get to see the shape and remove that extra fabric. And so now on this one we have, you can see on this design we have the thin lines, this one we have the fat lines, but we're going to layer the 2 and hopefully have a fun
Well, I love the look
pattern.
of offset printing, which is I think where that offset comes from, really from originally when people were doing printmaking or even using a printing press.
Right.
All that stuff is so, it just gives it that little something extra. And I think always when you're working on a project, if you take the time to make it a little bit extra, that's always fun and exciting and makes it that much better.
Well, it's just like if you're adding letters to a shirt or, decals, the more layers and details you put on it, the better it looks and the maybe more professional it looks. And so when you're doing this, you kind of have the same thing. So I'm going to layer these 2.
Oh, you do them at the same time. I sort of thought that you were going to, do you want me to pull this off the mat for you?
Yes. So you definitely don't have to, but because I just make kind of a big mess with the glue and it does soak through, I will often...
I like that you describe your method of gluing as a big mess. That's kind of my own personal mantra.
It is. And here we have to decide if maybe I'll put this at a little bit of an angle. So then I take my paintbrush and my glue, and I'm actually just going to tack these 2 fabrics together in a couple of places. Again, big mess.
So you're not even really worrying that much about it.
No, this is very forgiving, and I love that the glue dries clear. So really this is just kind of get it organized, get it on there.
Now, I noticed that you're using a bristle brush. Do you have a preference between bristle brushes or foam brushes or anything like that?
I kind of like the stiffness of the bristle brush on this. I feel like I can get it into the fabric a little bit more, and like you can see, it is a little bit finicky to try and get this fabric on here. So I'm going to put this on here so I can stick this fabric down because I want it to stop moving.
Well,
it's driving me a little crazy.
I always say when you're
around.
doing regular decoupage with just paper, you always want to put a layer of glue underneath and a layer of glue on top.
That's
it's remembering that you're making a glue sandwich almost.
So it is exactly the same. So I lift up the fabric, put some under, and then I stick it down and I put it on top. And you also have to make sure that you're putting some between those 2 layers of fabric as well.
So they stick together
So
too.
they stick together. So that's hence the big mess.
Very cool.
That I'm making.
What was your inspiration for this project?
Well, I love fabric, and mostly I write about fabric projects, but I also like making decorations for my home. So a while ago, I was trying to think how I could kind of incorporate fabric and some home decor projects that I wanted to do, and then that I could also write about. And so I was inspired by making some palette art. And you can buy these wood pieces everywhere
many
in
different places.
all different shapes, and you can see these are even different.
Or you can
but
even
it works for
find
both.
them if you have any woodworking, you know, and you can go ahead and make some yourself, which is really cool, right?
Totally.
And you know, I think the thing that's so fun and forgiving about this is just that you can, you know, smush it around, roll it around, and just let it be. Like, it's not, you know what I mean? You can take your time with it. It's not like everything's drying so fast you can't do anything about it.
Right, and I also love that the fabric is a little bit stretchy, so you can see, if you have like a little bump or something, actually getting it wet, putting the glue on it, and you can see how that just smoothed out with very little effort.
work. Again, no ironing.
No.
So once you've actually done all your layering
Yep.
and all your gluing,
And put
how
both
do you
on.
finally finish it?
I usually will go over and smooth out sort of all the edges, get the bumps of glue, because we don't want sort of extra texture on there, and just kind of smooth it down one last time around, spread out my glue edges on all sides, and kind of finish like that, and then just let it dry, and it's ready to go.
And when you're done, you have something beautiful that is both hard and soft and
That's
all
right.
that kind of stuff.
Yep.
So of course you don't have to put a layer of varnish or anything
No.
on it because the glue is
It is
finishing it
stuck.
off.
Yep.
Exactly.
So a great gift or home decor project.
Super cool, Emily. This was fun.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yes.